to make modern-day historians suspicious of the official story. So who was propagating the official story? Is this all based on, Greek writers like Herodotus, who had all sorts of undercurrents of other things he was writing about, including, the idea of the growth of Persian decadence and how, from the greatness of Cyrus, they were already beginning to fall one son into it, who's drinking himself to death, spending too much time in the harem and losing his mind, and it's all downhill from there. Fire when he says Cambyses killed his brother and kept it a secret. Quote, Cambyses had a brother, Bardia by name, of the same mother and the same father as Cambyses. Afterwards, Cambyses killed Bardia. When Cambyses had killed Bardia, it did not become known to the people that Bardia had been killed. End quote. 2,500 years old. They were carved into the rock face of the sacred mountainside, along which the old heavily traveled royal road used to run. Greatest kings in the Achaemenid Persian Empire, probably number 2 on most people's top 10 list, behind Cyrus the Great. Hard to knock the founder of the empire off the top job, usually. But this other guy named Darius, or Darius the Great, I use both pronunciations interchangeably, and for that I apologize. I'm hopeless sometimes. Nonetheless, this is the story of how he gets the job of King of Kings, as told by Darius the Great himself. It's an autobiography of sorts, but for that reason, it's a little self-serving. This is a guy who, by the way, would seem to have every quality you want in a prospective great King of Kings, except for one thing: legitimacy. And the story that he tells on the mountainside, amongst other places, seems to be a quest to explain to you, the reader, why he should have and deserves the top job, including the normal sorts of qualifications that the god wants him to have it. Ahura Mazda being the god, and this is sort of a change in emphasis in religion in the Persian Empire, much too complicated for me to understand. Fascinating. Since Ahura Mazda, is behind him and gives him all these great gifts and makes him the king and wants him to have the job, goes into his lineage and all the blue blood that's in his veins. These are standard justifications anyone would expect. But then his story veers into the weird and wonderful and conspiratorial and fantastic. What's funny about this is the official story, and the official story is twisted. Darius the Great is an interesting person to get this information from, because Darius the Great in our historical crime scene is like Colonel Mustard in the game of Clue. He's a potential suspect, because somehow this guy, who is not directly connected to the royal line, will end up in the top job. How does that happen? Well, it's an interesting story, and Darius the Great carves it alongside a mountain to explain it to you. And it starts off with Cambyses killing his brother and keeping it a secret. And the reason this is important is because apparently Cambyses had no heirs. So what happens if the son of Cyrus, the King of Kings, were to die? Who's the only other person, logically, that you give that job to? Well, the other son of Cyrus, right? Bardia. The son who got the consolation prize of empire. You've heard the line, Cyrus's sons were the heir, Cambyses, and the spare, Bardia. If something happens to Cambyses, you turn to the spare, don't you? So how does Darius have the job? Why didn't the spare get the job? Well, funny you should ask. Cambyses killed the spare, and then he didn't tell anybody about it. And then he led the army to conquer Egypt, and Darius the Great, serving as his lance bearer, or spear bearer, which is an official position. Think of like a person on the general staff or something. I think he was like 28 years old. Part of that increasingly nasty veteran Persian army that conquers Egypt. And according to Darius, while they're away, or while they're on their way home, one or the other, they get the word that the throne has been seized by a usurper.